Wow, you're here. It's Press Start with me,
Yeah.
Jacob, and Luke and Cammy.
Hi.
How's everyone doing
Hi.
on this lovely sunny Saturday morning?
Feeling lively.
I'm doing
There you go.
okay on this cloudy Saturday evening.
Very, very good.
Yeah, Jacob, don't be American-centric, okay?
Yeah.
We
Some
all
people
live in
are
different
geographically
states.
challenged.
Not cool.
And-
I don't live in a state.
Yeah, you do. You live in a state of denial that England's better than America.
Well, it's a lot
That was
better
good.
than
That was
America.
clever.
I
like that.
nailed it. And speaking of nails, we're going to nail down some gaming news today. Starting off with a very surprising, this has never happened before in the gaming industry. I'm really excited that we're talking about this today. A game was delayed. You guys believe that? The release date was pushed back. And would you guess that it was,
It was
one of the...
one thing, and now it's a different thing.
Who would have
That's
thought
crazy.
one of the games that people are probably most excited for this year got delayed? Kena Bridge of Spirits.
It's not a big delay. It's only a month.
That's a long month to wait, Luke.
Well, especially now that we're seeing a lot of other stuff delayed, which we'll talk about in just a second. There's really not that much to be pumped for yesterday. Like yesterday on stream, somebody asked me, what are you most excited for that's releasing later this year? And I was like, at this point, I don't know. Like there's not a ton lined up. We'll just have to see.
There's Deathloop.
Deathloop.
Yeah.
Your answer should have been Deathloop.
I don't know.
Deathloop does
I don't
look
know.
good.
I don't know if I'm that excited for that even.
Oh,
But
well, that's
You're
because you're a
wrong.
moron.
I
Right.
played It Takes Two. I feel good. I'm happy. My year is complete already.
Well, hey, WarioWare's coming out in September. I did not know that was coming out so soon. Life is Strange, The Color of Emotion, or whatever bullshit they named it this time. What was it? Life is
Yeah.
Strange.
No, it's exactly that. Let's leave it at that.
Life is Strange, The Taste of Sadness. The sweet,
Yeah.
supple licking of
Yeah.
tears.
What did they
and,
call the ability she has? It's like
psychic, like
psychic empathy.
Empathy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Win the game by
Like-
using the power of empathy. If you like those games, there's nothing wrong with you, but there's nothing wrong with us for thinking that it's incredibly stupid. Or at least me. I won't speak for the two of you. I think that's the goofiest
I'm just like the first
shit
game
ever.
was really good. They had an interesting idea, time control, all that. And then with this one, it's like you can see when people are sad. It's like, okay, that's called just being in college. Like, it's everybody.
I can taste your
Congratulations.
sadness. Have one of them that
Yeah.
can take like bites out of people and then get their emotions. It's always
then-
just psychic
yeah.
powers. They never go too far. They're never like, let me lick you and I can figure out what's holding you back. Oh, I'm just saying, that's a better power. That's a better put it in VR. You got to get your face up close
Like a
to 'em.
career coach, but he has to lick you to figure it out. That's
Yeah,
great.
like
Mhm.
well, putting Life is Strange and making fun of not only the game but the people that enjoy it. Putting that aside, Kena Bridge of Spirits getting delayed. I think it's fine. I don't think anyone's too broken up about it. It looks cool. It'll probably be, I think, pretty big when it comes out. I love the art style of it. People comparing it to Pixar, which is good, they say.
Yes.
Unless
Well, it's
you're
interesting because I just assumed like whenever it comes out, it'll sell really well. But one of the things we don't have in the doc, so I'll just bring it up now, that's kind of surprised me. Apparently, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart only sold,
knew you
and
were
I
gonna
say
say that.
only, like only 1 million copies, which is a lot. Many publishers and developers would kill to have that many copies sold, but for Insomniac, that's actually a pretty big letdown. I just assumed, hey, there's not that many games out for PS5 right now. If something comes out and takes advantage of it, it'll sell well. Not the case with Ratchet and Clank. There's debate going on back and forth as to why it might have flopped a little bit. Like marketing issues, the fact that a lot of the games just kind of look samey, to be honest. They do have new abilities, and of course the Rift dimensional tear thing was super cool. But the games do kind of meld and mesh together. It also, like, there's a perception where Ratchet and Clank just looks like a kid's game, and I think a lot of people treated it like that. So it didn't get the hype of the young adults up anywhere near as much as they were expecting it to. So who knows how Kina Bridge of Spirits will do. I don't think I've seen enough hype for it to think that it's going to wildly blow out expectations. I hope it does. It looks good. We'll see
I
if it
mean,
is, but
I played a Ratchet and Clank on stream, and the people on stream were sort of saying either it looks really good and I would love to buy it, but I don't have a PS5. And I mean, didn't they come out this week saying like 10 million PS5s have been sold? When you put it in perspective, that's then 1/10 of the people who own a PS5
yeah.
have played the game, which then that makes it sound a little bit better. But also, a lot of people were kind of like, well, yeah, it looks really good, but I don't really want to spend, 60, 70 quid or however much it was on the game.
Yeah.
But Kina, I'm pretty sure is cheaper, isn't it? Because it's an indie game. I don't think it's
I
the
don't actually
full.
know.
I'm pretty sure it'll be
I
full
mean, I will
60.
say I think there is a fair amount of resistance to the $70 price tag. Um, I didn't expect this much resistance, to be honest, but I think, it makes sense why people are hesitant, especially if they're not all about the game. Like, if it's Horizon Forbidden West, like, that's going to sell 3 million copies in the first week. It just is. And so they can charge $70, they're going to get $70. With something like Ratchet and Clank, one thing I heard a lot from people on stream, same thing, like, yeah, it looks good, but I don't have a PS5. Or, I don't know, it looks just like 2016, which granted, like through stream compression, it doesn't look as good. But we also played the 2016 Ratchet and Clank before we went and got the sequel to try and get familiarized with it. And they do play very, very similarly. I actually mistook one of the scenes from the first game for something that happened in the second game because they all kind of blend together. They just do. It's the generational leap wasn't as massive as I think people were hoping it would be. And part of that's because like ray traced reflections, they're great. They're amazing and very impressive, technologically speaking, but also if you're looking at two screenshots side by side, really well done screen based reflections and ray traced reflections, they're very similar. Like they just are. And so, and I just think it didn't excite people as much as they were hoping it would. They were hoping it would be the first true showcase of what the PS5 could do. And in many ways it is, but it just wasn't. It's hard to pitch that. It's hard to pitch it. It's kind of like back in the day when they were coming out with 4K TVs and they were trying to show explain to people why this was so much better than full HD. It's like, no, it's like four of those. Like, well, why would I need four TVs? It's like, no, you dumbass. It's like, no, it's just hard to communicate that, I think.
Going back to the price thing, Ratchet and Clank is £70. I don't know what that is in dollars, but £70, and then Kina is 32.
Oh.
So a big price difference. So I reckon it will sell a lot better, and if it does sell a lot better, then to me that almost confirms that like a big reason why Ratchet and Clank didn't do as well is because people don't want to be spending $70 on a game that they're just not sold on.
Hey, well, I'll tell you what, Insomniac. You want to sell an extra copy of that game? Send me a goddamn PS5.
Yeah, good luck.
Do
Wow,
it.
you drive a hard bargain.
I'll play that shit. I'll say
It's
whatever
just-
you want about it. I don't care. Send me a PS5. It's called Integrity, Insomniac,
Yeah.
and I don't have
I
it.
have it. You don't. um, I think we will see if this adjusts. I don't know if it's just a summer slump. It was weird though that it didn't sell more because even something like Miles Morales, the PS5 version sold like 2.5 million copies or something like that. So, like, yeah, there's only 10 million PS5s, and so 10% of the user base bought the game. That's great.
The fuck are
But
those other
also,
people
there's
doing?
not that much out for the PS5 right now. There just isn't. So I don't know. I don't know. I think, well, I don't know. We'll see if it adjusts. Maybe Kina is going to be the kind of wetting the feet in the water, seeing if they need to entertain lowering prices because Sony is fully embracing the sort of Apple style of, yeah, we charge more for our stuff, but it's better, so get over it. And Microsoft is going for we're the consumer friendly option, go with us. We'll see how that cookie crumbles as the months and years go by. Like I said, I think they can get away with it with the big stuff, but if it's an unknown quantity like Kena or to some extent Ratchet and Clank being, a franchise that not a ton of people are hyper familiar with, we'll just see how it develops and if they change their tactics.
Well, hey, speaking of some tactics, tactically, Horizon Zero Dawn might be delayed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Jason Schreier confirmed it. So at this point, I think it's pretty well
Pretty
confirmed.
set.
You know what? I don't care.
basically-
I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what Luke thinks. I think Jason Schreier is okay.
Same.
I don't care the things
think he's
Luke
okay.
said. I don't care the anger. I think he's a cool guy. I've read his book. Haven't read his new one. I
Same.
thought it sounded too
Same.
pretentious.
I've read his book. There's two.
Yeah, I just said I didn't read his second one yet.
Yeah.
It only
I
came
know,
out in
you
May.
You said that as I was saying my thing.
Oh, well,
no,
I'm
he's good.
Still full
knows
of
what he's doing.
hatred. No, he
So
doesn't
much hate.
him.
So much hate in your heart. Yeah, it was originally reported by Jeff Grubb, and then the next day it was confirmed by Jason Schreier. Apparently, a few weeks ago, they internally delayed it to early next year, which, I mean, next year is it's going to be ridiculous. We were saying last year that this year was going to be crazy if the game's actually released, because we had God of War originally slated for release this year. We had Horizon Forbidden West originally slated for this year. People were saying maybe Breath of the Wild Part 2 or whatever they call it was going to come out this year. Who knows? At this point, though, they're saying like next year we very well might have God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, and then also the sequel to Breath of the Wild, all in the same year.
Don't forget Starfield.
Starfield, yeah.
Don't forget
We'll see how that
Suicide
goes.
Squad. Don't forget Gotham Knights.
No, isn't that 2023?
No, it's 2022. At least I think so.
Suicide. It was farther away than I thought.
Everyone does a quick check.
I'm putting my money on 2022. Ah! Ah!
It's because the trailer was last year.
Ah!
I remember it was 2 years.
Oh my
out
god,
instead
Lord
of
of the
just a
Rings
year out.
Gollum is supposed to come out in 2022 also? What the fuck is
Oh,
this?
Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh, I'm
2022
sorry.
game.
Pragmata is supposed to come out in 2022. I don't even know what the fuck that is, but it's got a picture of the moon on it.
It really does.
It's gonna be a big
I
year
think I
for
just
video
pulled up the
games.
same list thing that you
Splatoon
have.
3.
If I clip the oh my god, Forspoken, at 2022 might be the largest game for video game year. It might be the biggest year for video games
Elden
I
Ring.
agree.
since 2011.
Jacob, Elden Ring comes out next year as well.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my god.
I mean, it'll be good. We've had a rough few years. 2019 was kind of bleh. 2020 kind of, I mean, especially with Cyberpunk, that was like the turd
We
on
don't-
top of a crap
we don't
sandwich.
Talk about that.
Oh, we don't talk
God,
about
what
that.
a horrible game.
Yeah.
Can we touch
We
on
don't
this real
talk
quick?
about
I went back to it. Recently because I
When?
thought it was better.
Recently.
Like, yeah, really recently. Like maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Pretty damn recently. I hate that game so much. And I don't hate the people that like it because I know there are people like, I didn't get overhyped for it. That doesn't change the fact of how just bad that game was built, like, from the very beginning. I think it sucks, and I never want to touch it again. I don't think there's anything they could really add to it that makes me want to go back to it. I think I'm done with it for all of eternity.
Luke, why did you bring up Cyberpunk?
I have no nostalgia any longer. I have no excitement. It just drained me.
The man hates it.
I will say, The Ascent, we were just talking about this before we started recording. The Ascent that launched on Game Pass at the time of recording, like 2 days ago. Like I said, it's on Game Pass, so it's free to try if you're already a member. Really good, and that cyberpunk world is far and away the most fleshed out cyberpunk world I've seen in a game probably ever. Like, it's living, it's breathing, it feels real. It's amazing. Super well done. Worth a try. Highly recommend. Didn't get great reviews because they pitched it as an RPG. So they put RPG reviewers on it. And the RPG reviewers were like, this is a terrible RPG because it's not really an RPG. And so they crapped all over it. When in reality, it's like an action adventure co-op shooter. Like, and it's really good as that. So I recommend it fully. But it also reaffirmed like this is what we were supposed to have. Like this living, breathing, detailed world. This is what we were supposed to have. And we just did not get anywhere near it. And I agree. I don't think there's anything they can do to save it at this point. I think it's just the damage is done. They need to get it functional, release whatever patches. They will probably abandon DLC.
I hope so.
And just get on to the next one.
Just move on. Be done with it. Oh, also, I have to. I apologize. I saw that game Pragmata. I think it was called, right? Pragmata. I said they were standing on the moon. I was wrong. That's no moon. Speaking of that's no moon.
That was the best one yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you peaked, Jacob. It's only downhill from here.
Oh, my parents said I peaked in elementary school. Who's laughing now, Dad? Anyways, new studio, devs from The Last of Us 1 and 2, Uncharted 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, God of War, Destiny, and Fortnite are all coming together in a nice, healthy little group to make a single-player, third-person action-adventure game. If all of those games were to combine together, like all those teams, all those different ideas, if that all went into one single game, all of that creativity, all of that, I think it would suck balls. Nothing about all those games together really mixes, but that's the beauty of game developers. Maybe they can do something really cool with it. Or maybe they'll suck.
Who knows? I will say this is something they've done before. They like we've seen this sort of coagulation of talent like after a big release like The Last of Us Part 2. Normally a lot of developers leave. Like there were all those reports of the crunch at Naughty Dog was just insane and people were sick and tired. They got The Last of Us 2 out because that's how they make their bonuses, and then they left. So it makes sense. This type of thing happens a lot. You get burnt out. You're sick of being just an underling at the studio. They don't promote you. So you're like, okay, screw it. I'm going to go do my own thing. Hopefully it's great. I mean, they have the talent, certainly, at this point. So we'll see. We don't know anything about what they're doing beyond like some very basic descriptions, like it's a single player third person action game, which is what they've all done before. So we'll see.
It's what some of them have done. But there's 3 games that caught my eye: Modern Warfare, Destiny, and Fortnite. Which my first instinct is to say, why would you have people from those teams working on it? And then I remembered, they can do other things. Maybe they'll be in charge of the gunplay. Like theoretically, this is like that part in the movie where they get everyone together and they're like, we need us a ragtag team, and they're like, who's that guy? It's like, that's old Bill Waterhose. Genius at gun combat in games. What can he do? Third person? Hoses. First, second, third person, fourth person even. It doesn't matter. He knows how to make guns sound good and feel good. Like that kind of thing. Like building a super team. But, I honestly can't say I know how all those backgrounds will mix together in terms of game development. It's strange, but it'll be really interesting to see. I'm very curious about it.
I'm excited, and they have a very swanky website.
Oh my
Have you
God,
gone on the website?
Swanky.
Swanky. Very swanky.
Let's see how swanky this website is.
If the website is any indication for how swanky the game is going to be, I'm down.
Looks pretentious
I like
shit.
Yeah,
in the press. All right, I guess I'm gonna follow them on copyright 2021.
Yeah.
Little do they know, LucasArts owns the term "That's no moon." They trademarked every word that's in the Star Wars franchise. Which we should say they named it after something from Star Wars. Not very creative right off the bat. They're
I didn't
probably
even
just
put
going
that
to.
together. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
direct
it's
lift.
so
Yeah.
they're stealing basically. I mean, I don't know how much we feel about supporting thieves, but I mean, I'm still curious. I really am. This is one of the first times I think I've seen a piece of news, and I've just been incredibly curious about how that will work, because all those games listed are like, wow, that sounds like, a fun team, but it's just all such different types of games. Really, I mean, there's some similarities. Of course, there's people from Naughty Dog, pretty prevalent. People from, but the majority of them are from, Sony, basically.
Yeah.
Depending on what the numbers, I don't know exactly how the numbers break down, but judging by that list we have there of all those games, it's got me wondering. I'd love to talk to them.
And
And
we'll
just be
see. I
like,
mean, at this point, with this type of, I mean, they're talking about $100 million budget they've received minimum. They'll probably receive additional funds later. Um, we'll see. I mean, they're betting big on this thing, so we'll see what they can do. We're still probably 4 years, 5 years out from whatever it is releasing. Because normally when somebody starts a new project, they at the very least have like offices and engines and systems set up. They don't have any of that, so they're starting from absolute scratch. So don't expect this anytime soon. But
Hope
it's still cool to see.
hopefully they started it with like a rough idea of hopefully it started with the idea of a game and not a studio, where it's like, wouldn't it be great if we had a studio that had this and this? But I think going into it, since they already have the game kind of really like vaguely described, maybe they had like a really good idea for a game and we're like, fuck it, they're not going to let us do it at Naughty Dog, they're not going to let us do it at Santa Monica or Activision or Bungie, or is it Bungie that does Destiny, or fucking Epic? Let's make our own thing. If that's the way it started, then I'm definitely a little bit more hopeful. But then again, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Just super
Well,
curious.
I would also say, and this might not excite many people, they received $100 million up front from a large group. You don't receive that much money unless there is a pretty good guarantee, or at least there's reason to believe that they'll get a return on the investment above and beyond what they put in. They have people from Fortnite, Call of Duty, and Destiny working on this. My guess would be part of the pitch was a live service title that could recoup the cost of development fairly quickly. So it could be like a linear narrative single player game, but that features live service components, really robust skins or something. Or something even more novel and unique. Who knows? But what I will say is you don't get $100 million without a clear pitch of what you're delivering and being able to clearly describe to those people how they're getting their money back and making more on top of it. So we shall see. We shall see.
We shall see.
We shall see. Speaking of seeing things, did you guys see? This sucks. That one's just terrible. Outer Worlds expansion. There's a little expansion coming. Annapurna showed it off at their little showcase. I will say I have not touched the Outer Wilds.
Nor have I.
Never really had the interest nor the care.
It's really good. It's calming, it's clever. It's just really well done, to be honest. I enjoy it. It was a recommendation on stream. I tried it at an impulse, and I'm glad I did. It's really unique and fun.
But can it
But
make
it's one
me
of those
horny?
completely
Like that's
There
the
was
Moon's
the-
new
cute
game.
aliens.
Hey.
I mean, do you not remember the trailer from the Devolver Digital thing for the Outer Worlds 2? Because if that trailer's anything to go by, the first one's going to be pretty great. Well, the
Well,
first one
that's
is pretty
Outer
great.
Worlds.
Uh-oh. Wait.
Oh,
Wait.
I've been
Wait.
stupid. Oh, I was stupid.
Well.
God
Somehow
damn
I'm not the
God
idiot
damn
today.
No!
I'm a
Fixing myself
genius.
out. Yeah, you two carry on.
Get me out.
Oh,
It was bound to happen. It's okay. It's okay. It was bound to happen.
echoes of the
It's
eye.
the evening for me. It's the evening for me, and I'm tired. I'm blaming it on that. You two carry on.
She's already
Go
had
on.
7 bottles of wine. Can you believe that?
They would believe it, but I don't have wine. So it's 7 kegs of beer. Thank you.
She's not even French.
Oh fuck, that's a really specific number.
Uh,
Okay,
But
yeah,
yeah, anyway.
expansion, Outer
Yeah.
Wilds. I don't care. I'll play it eventually. You know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna play it in like 2 years, and I'm gonna love it. I'm gonna have all the expansions. I'd be like, this is great. I hope they do a sequel. And then it's gonna be the Psychonauts thing again, where I'm just like, I put it out of my mind, and they're like, it's a sequel. And there are people that have been waiting like years and years and years for the sequel, and I'm like, hey, I played that 4 months ago. I'm really excited for this. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
that's how it's gonna go. But it's cool enough.
Yeah.
It's pretty from what I've seen. But I guess we're going to stray away from that story and instead talk about a new one right meow.
oh, good.
Oh.
And
meow.
talk about a game coming from Annapurna Interactive Showcase.
Nice.
What the fuck else is there that cats do?
It's gonna claw its way into the public consciousness.
Oh.
It's
I know,
gonna
that was
not
good,
shut the fuck
Minus.
up when I'm trying to read and slam its head into my door.
Oh, cats.
Speaking
A
of,
game called Stray.
Woo!
A quick side
That
note:
cat.
my cats came in here. I don't think they've ever shown themselves on the channel because they hide during the day.
Oh.
But it was like 2 a.m.
we all-
last night.
we're gonna talk about your people.
Your sisters.
Oh my god.
Her 2
Oh,
sisters.
My
They were
cats
here.
are here right now.
My cat.
I'm actually straight up excited for Stray. I've thought, like, how are they making a game out of this? And it actually looks pretty cool.
So
and
good.
Fun.
I like it.
So
It's you
excited.
basically you play as a cat who's lost in a weird city, and you're trying to get back to your family. It's very simple, but it's cute, and I'm very excited. Yeah, I mean it's coming for PS4, PS5, and PC in early 2022. Hermione and I will be. I knocked something down. Hermione and I will be co-streaming it. It's gonna be
Yes.
sick.
Can she? She can't talk or nothing. What'll that do?
She can meow.
Oh, she can talk.
That's a horrible branding idea. It's a terrible
Oh.
idea, Luke. A horrid idea.
That's an
I'm so
awful idea.
excited.
What?
Do you realize how
missing
silly
it,
you
right?
sound? Anyways, no, yeah, it looks fun. Looks good
Anyways,
enough.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Good enough. Good. I haven't played it yet. You never know with games like this where they're like, "Wow, it's so stylized and so." Oh, I've never seen something quite
Wow.
like that. It's got ooh, I can really get it. And then like you don't know how the exit. Like you could get in there and it's got tank controls, and you gotta like swivel the camera to move in any direction. You don't have like full 8 controls. You just never know with games like this. They could have isomet. Like a majority of the game could be Tetris puzzles for all we know.
Ah.
The hub world could just be the city, and then everything else is like
It makes friends with a tiny drone.
that's fine by me. I'm just saying. I'll see how the drone controls. That's like I think that's the only thing I'm really worried about with this game is just how it's gonna control because I want it to be very. You know what? I want it to be incredibly simple. I want it to be like Kirby. I want it to have those kind of controls where you could probably play it with like one button and one joystick. Something nice and simple that you just kick back with, don't have to think about too much, and just enjoy the scenery. You know what I mean?
You want? Okay, I'll leave it there.
I want to turn off my dumb monkey brain and sit around controlling a cat.
My monkey brain.
My monkey
Off.
brain. Give me a banana. I would like to eat
Give
banana.
me a banana.
Banana.
All I like is
French
to
monkey.
eat the banana. Oh, banana. Oh, right, that's Donkey
Okay.
Kong. That's Donkey Kong 64. Whenever he finds a golden banana, he goes, "Oh, banana," and it goes do 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 like that. Let's play that on stream. Why the fuck aren't we doing that? Let's play Donkey Kong 64.
You know what? At this point, I don't know. I don't know much. Hey, you're
What
so
are we
talkative.
doing here? Oh, we should talk about one more insane thing.
God knows. What?
One more crazy thing. Apparently, it's going around now. Keep in mind, I don't know, and no one knows how true this is, but Abandoned is somehow back in the news. And this time, again, isn't actually about Abandoned. Now people think it's a new Metal Gear game. Did you guys hear about that?
I didn't, but nothing surprises me anymore.
Well, Hassan, like I've said from the beginning, this guy has a history of putting out copy and pasted bullcrap, like awful reskin games, and they're all garbage and they suck. He posted a picture to Twitter of like a blurred out background. Is my mic cutting out? I'm like hearing it.
I think you're just stuttering.
And so he put this out. It looks vaguely like a weird human with an eye patch. Oh, it could be Metal Gear. Well, somebody looked it up. It's an asset, a free asset from a French asset store that he just copy and pasted, blurred out, and then posted online as a leak to his game. I'm going to post the link to this right here in the doc so you guys can see it.
The link to the picture?
Yeah, so look the picture, and then they found the free asset online.
Oh, okay. I'd like to see the free asset.
Thank you to Mayor for sending me this on Twitter. He's awesome. But they found the asset that he bought or didn't even buy. He downloaded it for free, blurred it out, and then put his logo over the front and said that it was...
What a logo, by the way. For those of you who have not seen the Abandoned logo, it's like an almost impact font. And then it's just the word Abandoned. Everything about this game, the more I hear about it, I think the reason people are thinking that it's like Metal Gear, and they think that it might, like, oh, maybe it's Silent Hill. I think it's because the game is so blatantly uninteresting right now and beyond stupid. And the guy running it is, because we don't know, maybe it actually is, but he's being portrayed as a complete moron. Like, it's just making for, like, the most bizarre experience I think I've ever been a part of, like, looking forward to a game. Because no one would have cared about Abandoned unless it was tied to Kojima.
No, and I've said this before, like, in the video I did on it, this guy has a history of reskinning and recycling assets. The forest, people have already proved, the forest from the original Abandoned trailer is from a free asset store, like bundle thing. He didn't make anything in the forest, which is amazing because it still looks like crap. The fire looks like crap. The hand, the gun, everything looks like crap. People like, this looks like crap. How did it get in a showcase? Oh, it must have been that it's it made it in the showcase because it's not actually Abandoned. It must be a Kojima game. It must be completely different than what it is. And that's the only way they can justify it or explain it. And honestly, I understand that initial knee-jerk reaction. But it's very clear this guy's nothing to do with Kojima. The thing is, it's mind blowing that it's gotten this far. It's all fun and games until a bunch of people buy this thing on day one, realize it's just a copy and pasted flip of free assets that they wasted $60 on, and they're going to be pissed off because they bought it thinking it was the new Kojima game that he was secretly releasing through some guy he's been paying for 5 years to pretend as though he's a game developer. Like, it's all fun and games until somebody gets hurt in the process, and they're going to screw over a lot of like really small streamers and YouTubers who are trying to make a name for themselves. And I just can't stand it. I think it's ridiculous.
But Luke, do you think it's possible that
No.
there is a human being on this planet as stupid as the guy that is working on Abandoned? Because let's look at the whole picture here. There's a game coming out. That's a Sony exclusive, a PlayStation 5 exclusive, right? I don't know if it's PS4 and PS5, but I think it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me fact check
Yeah,
that.
it's only on PS5.
Only on PS5.
PS5 and Windows.
Oh.
No?
Anyways,
Okay.
PS5 and Windows. Not coming to Xbox.
Hey.
Sony went out of their way to get control of this game. Like, with Sony's track record, they tend to go for, quality over quantity. Do you think they would pick this moron? This absolute character. I don't know the guy. I should specify. But everything about this just screams moron.
To say that like Sony went out and got this guy and picked up this game it's not published by Sony. Like it's not a Sony, like they didn't pay for this to be exclusive. They didn't pay for this to be developed. They don't have anything to do with this other than it's going to be sold on their platform. And there's a lot of really crappy games on the PS4 and PS5. They just are. So the process for getting it on the store, you basically have to pay upfront like the publishing costs. And one thing we do know is that Hassan seems to have money from his family or something, because he's been able to spend money on bizarre things, and then he uses free assets at other times. Like, we've seen this type of thing before, but he seems to have access to some money, probably through his family. So we got a game on the PS5
and a spot in the showcase.
That's the only weird thing. And I honestly think it's because Jeff Keighley, being a Kojima fangirl, has like at this point gotten himself so worked up, at least back then, he thought it was possible that it was also a Kojima thing. He started to buy into it. And he even had a few tweets where he was like kind of egging it on, like it might be true. Because I don't think Kojima actually talks to him. I think Keighley is just like obsessive about it. It's like he retweeted the trailer. It's like, oh, this looks very interesting. No, it looks like garbage. It's always been garbage.
Until it turns out to be PT. What if it turned out to be a new Batman Arkham game?
Oh my god!
What if it just like was a complete curveball like that? Mark
It's
Hamill's
like it's
Joker.
the next Banjo Kazooie or something.
It's Banjo 3.
Yeah.
But like, I just think every time you think it can't get more ridiculous, and like all the evidence points to the fact that this guy doesn't know how to make games and just asset flips stuff and then lets you walk around in it and then pretends to be a game developer because his family's got a lot of money, and so he's playing like he's a game developer, and he's objectively terrible at it if you look at anything he's released on the App Store or anywhere else. And then like he does something like this, like I showed you with the free asset of the guy wearing an eye patch, then he just blurs it and then puts really bold text over the front. And people look at this and like, clearly this is him hinting that it's actually a new Metal Gear game. Like, or he's just like an idiot, bad at what he does.
Know. No,
but
we're not using the I word here, Luke. We're saying he's a moron. A moron.
Oh, sorry.
He's an
A
said,
absolute
out.
moron.
Yeah, you cut out. So it was like, I'm not saying
He's
he's an
up.
idiot. He's up.
Uh-oh. That might
Yeah.
get me. Uh-oh.
See,
People can put
Yeah.
whatever they
Sounded
want
way
over that
worse.
now.
But
Oh.
I mean, at this point, he's got to know what he's doing. He's intentionally feeding the fire of conspiracy theories because it's the only way this garbage dumpster fire of a game is going to sell any copies. He's going to try to get people to sell it or to buy it on the PS5 where the returns are a nightmare. Because people are going to buy this, realize it's not Metal Gear or PT or whatever, and try to return it or get rid of it instantly because nobody actually wants what he's pitching, which should tell you something.
Oh yeah, the game
Like
that
at
he's
least
pitching.
PT was like interesting. They pitched PT, the developer was just unknown. But then PT was really good. You're saying that like he's pitching and has been selling something and it's not like nobody wants that. So
Well,
it
so-
must be Metal Gear.
His pitch for the game. Let's run through this real quick because some people may be so engulfed in the Kojima-ness of it all that they don't even know what Abandon is supposed to be. Luke, what's Abandon supposed to be as a video game? Just real quick.
My understanding at this point is that he has said it is he's actually flip-flopped. At the very beginning, he said that it was about like exploring a forest and trying to unravel a mystery. Apparently the forest is no longer in the game. And everything that's been shown off in those videos is not actually in it. So now it's something completely different and it's supposed to be like a psychological something or other. I don't think he knows.
It's a
'cause I
walking
think
simulator.
Yeah, I think it's garbage.
He's a
Death
fucking
Stranding
moron.
Part 2.
Except
Yeah.
Death
Woo!
Stranding was a walking simulator with depth, a beautiful world,
Oh
insanity
yeah, I'm not
around
bashing
every
Death
control.
Stranding.
This is literally just a walking simulator from a moron. But it might be
It makes me
Kojima. Because
Ooh.
Kojima.
And at this point, like this is what I'm saying, and this is the broader lesson, I think. You should reevaluate your love and sycophantic obsession with and for Kojima. Because the fact that he's crazy enough that this seems possible, that should tell you something's wrong. Because a crazy person would do this. You're saying somebody paid a guy for 5 years to start a company, to be the face of it, to publish crappy reskinned mobile games on the iOS App Store, and then to put this out, to make all of these fake forests and asset flipped games, only to get to the point where now it's all a front for the game that Kojima's actually been working on that he's going to substitute at the last minute. It's so insane, but it's believable. And that should tell you.
It's because he made a $60 walking simulator. He pitched it like this. It's going to be a walking... You deliver packages. You're like a UPS driver. You're going to play as the guy with the crossbow from The Walking Dead. Guillermo del Toro, you know, the monster designer guy? He's just going to be a guy there. And you'll work for this really cool guy who wears a black mask. His name? Die Hardman. Like, that sounds made up. That sounds like a joke. And then the game came out, and it was real, and everything. Yeah. You have a baby. It's strapped to your stomach, and it like tells you where the monsters are, and you call it BB. And sometimes you have to recharge your baby because your baby can get it like crazy. Like, it's insanity. The man he's a nut bar. It's insane. I don't know what else. Yeah. I love him, but it's insane. I love almost everything he's ever put out. I've played and really enjoyed, but that's insanity.
Yeah. Yes, he's insane. Kojima's insane, and that is the story at the end of the day. So I don't know. I would honestly be worried if I was Hassan because he's going to release this thing. It's going to be horrible. People are going to be like, "This is awful." What would be really funny is if they play it, it's awful, and they're like still making excuses for it, like it's actually a Kojima game. Why is my mic cutting out? Something's going on. Did you step on something, Miney?
I think you're coming through all right on my end.
You are on mine as well. Apart from I have a cat hair in my eye that's really bothering me.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's that. While I work and
Oh.
mess with my cables, why don't you guys begin tackling the last and yet again most ridiculous headline we've ever had to discuss. So,
Yay! It's not over yet. It's not over yet. I still can't. You know,
It's-
I can't even put it into words because I feel like first off, we should start off by saying props to the people in the past week who have
Yes.
been a part of the boycott, spreading the love and support. You've all been wonderful, doing the best
Should
you
also
can.
say I got the cat hair out of my eye.
Very good. Two
Woo!
positives to start this out with. No
Yeah.
reason to go into this horrible situation without pointing out a couple of the positives because there are people being very supportive. Of course, there was the
Yes.
big walkout. We'll go in more depth on that. Props to all those people. Mad respect for that. But let's, I guess, talk about the first point that, the Cosby
Right, yeah.
Suite.
I mean, I wrote down going from last Sunday, which is when we last filmed. I wrote down everything I found roughly in chronological order. It's like the news of the week in chronological order. Woo!
Yay!
Mm.
What a
Mhm.
bunch of dumbasses.
Yep.
There's a place called the Cosby Suite, named for Bill Cosby,
Mm.
the horrible rapist
Yes.
who drug and raped people. Horrible man.
who's free now on a
Yeah,
technicality, by the way.
he's out.
Yep.
You know what they
Mm-hmm.
say? Bad people pay for exactly 8 months and then they're let go because that's what it's all about.
It's
I
frustrating because like it was because of a loophole where like he had made statements to prosecutors and then the prosecutors were dumbasses and took those statements and they used those to convict him, even though according to like United States law you can't do that. Like he made those statements with the understanding that they couldn't be used in that way and this and that. And so because they screwed up and cut a corner thinking it would be fine, now this monster gets to just go out, you know? But it's, those rules exist for a reason. So it sucks, but there's nothing they can do.
just remember, everybody, for all the people watching this video, we most likely will live after this man has died, and once he's dead, we don't have to worry about him anymore. And let's
Very
just
true.
hope he dies quickly
Quickly.
and alone. Quickly and alone
Woo!
is all I can ask for. But this Cosby Suite thing is really confusing to me because is it just like a bedroom with
The
like
I've looked into this a little bit. Do you want me to take
It was
over?
a
I
hotel
think
room,
so.
wasn't it?
It's
It was a hotel room, owned by, well, being used by, I want to say his name right, Alex. How would you say that?
Afrasiaba
Af- uh,
Afrasiababi.
should we just
Afrasiababi.
call him Alex?
Yeah, sure. Alex A.
Alex A. He was a World of Warcraft developer, and it was at a some sort of event, I believe, and he turned his hotel room into the quote unquote Cosby Suite. And it was actually mentioned in the lawsuit. Alex was one of the two men actually named in the suit. And people read it at the time and they thought, wow, this is fucking disgusting, because it is. But now there's actual photographic evidence that has come out. Old Facebook posts that have been obtained and delivered to news sites, and it's absolutely disgusting. There's a photograph of Alex and other developers laying on the hotel bed, and they had a big photo of Bill Cosby on the bed printed out, photos of all the alcohol they had. They had a Cosby crew chat, and they would send messages like, "Oh, I'm gathering the hot chicks for the cos. Like, get ready, I'm gathering the girls, and then we'll take her up to the Cosby suite." And it's fucking disgusting, really, isn't it? There's not much more to say on it than that. There's been no response from Alex, and one of the ex-Blizzard devs who is pictured on the bed with him said he was unaware of Cosby's history at the time. The photograph was taken in 2013, and I wasn't up on my Cosby history then, but from what the internet says, there were rumors already out there. People knew that stuff wasn't right.
The big thing is like the public accusations that started to make headlines and stuff came in 2014 and 15 mostly against Cosby, but like South Park, I think it was back in like 2004, they had a joke where they said like they were basically saying that Butters had to go with this Canadian girl and he had to sleep with her to like bind their two communities and bring peace. And he was like, you need to get in there, you need to just no BS, get in there and have a hot Cosby. And that was like the term that they use, like you fall in hot Cosby, and then if you're falling in love, it's a slow Cosby. So like even in Hollywood in the early 2000s, it was well known like Cosby at the very least was incredibly like, let's just say, forceful when it came to his sexual appetites.
Rapey is
And
the
then
word I
even
would
comedians, even like comedians like Hannibal Buress, he had in his special in Seinfeld, I think at one point joked about it, where they were like, "No, he's pretty creepy," because apparently celebrities who were around Cosby would see him like pinching women, and like it was clear, it was an open secret, kind of like the
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey stuff.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
And it's Hannibal Buress. There's no G in there. Give Hannibal the respect he deserves, Luke. Very funny man.
Buress.
Hannibal Buress.
Hannibal Buress.
Watch the Eric Andre show. He's wonderful in it. Hannibal Buress is a lovely man. But this is just, it still weirds me out because let's say they didn't know. Let's say they didn't know about Cosby's past. Why would you do this to begin with? This doesn't make any sense. Excuse? I would love to hear some excuse. I would love to hear any kind of reasoning they have, because it sounds like something 12-year-olds would do in middle school.
Get ready. The excuse presented was, I've got to remember this rightly, it was called the Cosby Suite, because apparently did Bill Cosby used to wear awful sweaters or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. And apparently the suite was quite old-fashioned with the carpets and stuff. It was a bit dated, and that's why they called it the Cosby Suite.
They had a gigantic portrait of him.
I know, it's the worst excuse ever given to man. It's awful.
They could have called it the Mr. Rogers Suite if that was the case. Why Bill Cosby?
That is the excuse. That is...
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it's almost like it's not true. Crazy.
It's just, hey, you know what? No matter what way you slice it,
almost like,
any way you slice it, this is just beyond, like,
disgusting.
Yeah, it just doesn't. There's no way. It's like it was a joke. It's like it's a joke in horrible taste. It's like, oh, we thought the room looked old. It was like, but that doesn't measure up with the other shit you're doing in the room. You had a group chat. You had a group. It makes them like they might be insane. They might be. I don't know what the deal is.
What I took as like the really shocking takeaway. So the whole discussion at the center of this is the idea that Activision, because like crappy people work at big companies. You know, there's thousands and thousands of employees. Maybe it's just he's one degenerate dickhole in this sea of people, and people are pointing at him out of all these thousands and thousands of employees and saying, look, the whole company's bad. Maybe that's what it is. But the discussion is that it's a cultural thing within multiple employees and leadership positions at that company. And my takeaway was a lot of the group chat pictures of them being like, dude, like he was saying he was going to go find women and bring them back to the Cosby suite. And then one of the other guys says, "You can't marry them all, Alex." And he says, "Uh, I think he said I'm Middle Eastern. I can." Which is already like weird. And then another one comments beneath it and says, "You misspelled F, like the F word." Joking, like you weren't going to marry him. You were just going to wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Like that's what you were going to do. They took a screenshot of that and then posted it to their own Facebook pages. Who do you know that would screenshot a conversation like that and then post it to Facebook and be like, yeah, we're having a great time?
13-year-olds.
Like
That's
again,
who does
it's a
it.
13-year-old. It's like a frat boy culture. Like there are frat boys. That's something a frat boy would do because they all agree. Like, yeah, that's funny. That's really smart, dude. You're so funny. They would all jump on that, which is why you could get away with it posting on Facebook. The fact that you're willing to publicly put that out there on your public, facing social media shows they were totally unconcerned with possible repercussions or consequences for doing that. Like when I was working at the bank or Chick-fil-A back in high school for 3 months, they said like, watch what you post to social media, because if you post something to social media that doesn't work with our company values, we might terminate you. And that, like, those were summer jobs for high school students. These are people who are salaried at a huge multi-billion dollar company, and they're openly posting these things while on a work trip, and they're not at all concerned with possible consequences or repercussions. And that's my point and my takeaway. You can say, yeah, there's one or a handful, even 10, 20 out of 20,000 employees that are awful. The fact that they were not concerned at all, they could be punished for doing this at a work trip and then publicly bragging about it on their public social media, that shows there's an issue with how Activision Blizzard treats these types of situations, because any other company worth their salt would not tolerate this, and you could be fired for doing something half as bad. So that's my takeaway. And the employees, thankfully, are taking steps and are not going to roll over and just take it. Organizing all sorts of stuff. Cammy, why don't you walk us through some of the stuff that's happened with them, with the walkouts and the letters and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, there was an open letter signed by over 2,000 employees, and that number's rising as well. So by the time this video comes out, I don't know what number that will be at, but it's over 2,000, calling the initial response by Activision Blizzard abhorrent and insulting. The devs have gotten public support from like not only like the general public as well, but other developers. So Cory Barlog has been pretty outspoken, and whole companies like Ubisoft came out the other day, and I think was it with a letter of their own or a statement of their own saying like, yeah, you got to do better. Like you're being dicks.
Well,
Basically.
it's like, some people were like, oh, yeah, real rich for Ubisoft to come out and say this. Ubisoft has hired independent investigators after the accusations came out, and they're at least saying that they're following the guidance and suggestions of that independent investigation firm that specifically does this kind of thing. They investigate accusations of misconduct by managers independently, free from, hey, Hermione, you just stepped on the keyboard. Free from this type of thing. So they're taking steps. They acknowledge there was an issue, and whether they're dealing with it like in as forceful a way as possible, or if they are
By the cat.
doing all this, they're at least taking steps, and they
Oh.
acknowledge there was an issue. Activision in all of their messages just weirdly say like, we're saddened by today's news and we're upset. Okay, so is there an issue or isn't there? Like, you won't even acknowledge whether or not this is real. And it's made all the worse because Bobby Kotick, who is the CEO of Activision, after the walkout, which was planned and did occur on Wednesday the 28th, share prices began to drop, at one point peaking at about a 9% drop. I'll just say it right now. I mean, it really has no impact. People are like, wow, they lost billions of dollars in one day. It's already back up. Like, that's not how stocks work. You don't lose the money. You just have an asset that for a few hours is worth a little less. So that doesn't have much of an impact on these guys. If he had, like, if Bobby Kotick, CEOs and executives have to schedule selling of shares and things so that they can't just like game news and things to sell at peaks and buy at lows. If he had a bunch of stocks that were set to be sold on that day, that honestly would have been brilliant for the walkout demonstrators to plan it for that day. I think that would have been kind of funny because he would have lost a lot of money in effect. But in this case, like, this didn't affect Bobby at all. Let's be real. But he finally was pushed to make a statement, where he described that, basically his response, and it just, most employees have described it as tone deaf, as not verifying or understanding what's actually going on, and just kind of dismissing it, which honestly is not that surprising. Cammy, what did he say he was gonna do?
I mean, he gave 5 main points that were supposed to be long-lasting, effective, immediately changes. The first one is employee support. Second one is listening sessions moderated by third parties, personnel changes, and the direct quote from that one is, "We are immediately evaluating managers and leaders across the company. Anyone found to have impeded the integrity of our processes for evaluating claims and imposing appropriate consequences will be terminated." Bit wordy. Hiring practices to ensure diversity across all positions and changes to inappropriate in-game content.
What?
The response did not go down well.
Changes to okay. Quick breakdown.
Okay,
Employee
go for it.
support effective immediately. We're making this change, long lasting. From now on, from August almost of 2021, we are going to support our employees.
Yeah.
You really have to make
Yeah.
what a broad statement. It just makes it's like he doesn't want to say, it doesn't want to be specific. Doesn't want to talk about what the actual issue is, the sexual harassment, frat boy culture within the company. He just says, employee support. Employee support, nice and bland, and then changes to inappropriate in-game content is a very strange one, because we're dealing one thing at a time here. We're dealing with outside the game.
That should not be in your top 5 main changes that needed to be made right now.
When your first point is the most broad thing on the planet and the second point is almost irrelevant, everything in between, even though some of the stuff in between, it's all pretty broad still. It's bullet points, sure. But even with that quote, it says we're going to be evaluating the managers. We'll be taking a look at this. You were supposed to be taking a look at this. This is where the lawsuit is coming from in the first place. This makes absolutely it's a nothing statement.
Well, and so, like, I always try to keep, I mean, of course, like, I went to college, trained in corporate finance, most of my classes in corporate management and like strategizing. Like, we had entire classes we took on dealing with these types of situations as the head of a company. So, like, I always try to keep a very level head, because I think what a lot of people expect is never going to happen, nor should it. Realistically, there's a lot of accusations. Most of them appear so specific and very credible. I would guess that the allegations are true. Some of the allegations, just because this is how statistics work, a certain percentage are probably exaggerated, and then a certain percentage are not true. We're talking probably like 98%, 1.9%, and then 0.1%, right? So it's very important to be clear on this. The point is, there has to be a process, because innocent people shouldn't be fired and punished because of a false accusation. We can all agree on that. And guilty people should be punished severely and swiftly. And one of the ways you can justify severely punishing people through firing, termination, public termination, so that they have trouble getting jobs in the industry moving forward, is if there's clear evidence and an investigation that backs it up. So having a process, like again, the Ubisoft process of an independent investigator that can come in, say, yeah, no, they definitely did this. We have these emails, we have this, this, and this. They did it. They should be terminated. And then they're terminated. That's great. The problem is what he's saying under the guidance and the determination for whether or not somebody gets terminated. Anyone found to have impeded the integrity of our process for evaluating claims and imposing appropriate consequences will be terminated. He says the people they're going to terminate are the people that got in the way of the established process for evaluating these types of allegations. The whole point of all of this is that the company culture and the policies therein have not been set up in a way where these things can be adequately investigated. So you're saying, yeah, anybody who messed with our already messed up process will be fired. It's like, well, you missed the point, dude. The point is that the process itself is what's wrong. So like what these employees want is for independent investigators to come in, make their investigations, and then make those reports hopefully public to the employees and to the managers and executives. And then the executives should act swiftly on the recommendations from that independent third party. Clean house. Because this stuff should not be tolerated. But instead, they're just towing this very delicate line where they're like, we're going to have listening sessions where we listen to you. Whoop-de freaking do. Great,
Bitch, you should have been listening from the beginning. The
Yeah,
fact
like,
you gotta set up sessions specifically to listen.
Yeah, and well, and one of the points that people had with how a lot of these companies tend to react to this type of thing is they have, like, say, ethics training. Like, say there's some scandal with a manager, like Wells Fargo had this, when they had the scandal where they were signing people up for savings accounts and then hiding the savings account. This happened to me. They signed me up for a savings account without me knowing, and then we're taking like a penny every day out of my checking and moving it into the savings account, but it was hidden from me, so I couldn't see it, I couldn't access it, and I didn't know I had it. I just saw that a penny was being taken away. Finally, when like the scandal broke out that they were doing this, the CEO was fired and charges were brought, fraud was flying everywhere, billions of dollars lost in value. And I looked at that savings account and like hundreds of dollars had been siphoned out of there once they opened the savings account up. But with all of that, after that happened, they had ethics trainings. And the whole point was the people that did this were the managers and the executives. But you're having ethics training for the employees, the low level like cashiers and stuff and tellers, training them that they shouldn't do this. Bitch, they knew the whole time they shouldn't be doing this. They weren't the ones that need the training. Like, they missed the entire point. And with this, it's like, okay, we're going to have employee support circles, and then we're going to have meetings where you can just tell your story. Well, it doesn't do any good if, like, to tell it to the rest of the employees and then some, like, guidance counselor. The point is that there should be consequences for this type of thing done and enacted. So it's just baffling, but also like this is just how corporate double talk has to work. My hope would be that they would come out and Bobby would be like, I wasn't aware of this type of thing going on. This is unacceptable. The people who we find did this and have been encouraging this culture of fear and abuse will be terminated and we will make their names public. This should not be tolerated in our company or in the industry, and we're not going to stop until it's done. That forceful language would go a long way. And you're like, hold me accountable. We're going to make all the investigative reports public. Managers should be accountable to themselves, their employees, and the public. But instead, they walk this bizarre line of double talk and try not to be too specific. And we end up with a bunch of employees that are not thrilled with where they're at.
No. And they're not thrilled for like the reasons you've both just said, because the statement's both a whole lot of nothing. Everything's very vague, and there are certain things that were still just ignored.
But hey, at least Activision and Blizzard aren't doing anything crazy like bringing on the Amazon union busting group, Wilmer, whatever the fuck, Wilmer Hale, whatever it is. At least they're not trying to smash any chance of people unionizing at the company because they're so fed up with being mistreated, being overworked, being sexually assaulted, not being listened to, all these horrible things. At least they're not trying to smash their attempts at unionizing because it would fuck things up for Activision and Blizzard. They're not doing that, are they?
They are.
Oh, great. Well,
yeah.
There you go. They're doing that. There's not much to say on that one because, it's Amazon. Do we have to say more? It's bad. Like, Amazon's, not everyone that works for Amazon's evil. We can all agree to that. But those Amazon warehouses, there's horror stories constantly about what's going on there. It's terrible. And so they tried to unionize, and Amazon did not like that. So they hired these crazy people that stopped that from happening.
Yeah, it's interesting because, like, Amazon, at the very least, they are like, hey, we don't want you to unionize. It'll drive costs up. So, like, and then the whole value proposition of Amazon goes by the wayside. So we're going to fight that while we work on this automated stuff. And we will get to the point where Amazon warehouses are completely robot run. Like, there's no doubt. It's just a matter of time. They're already testing different machines that can do it. So it's just a matter of time. And like the threat of unionization accelerates that because they're like, the sooner we get the robots doing this, the sooner we can just say, okay, bye, sure, unionize, but you're all fired because we don't need you anymore anyways. That's what they're trying to get to. With video game development, the danger with like these huge companies and threats of unionization on the lower levels is we've already seen an exodus of many jobs like in the States with regarding to like software. Nikki's father was a software developer and an engineer. And then his company unionized. They fired everybody and then they just outsourced it to India, right? So what I think we'll see is a huge number of new studios popping up overseas in China, in Singapore, basically places that don't have unions and where the wages are lower, and they'll just start developing all of these games there. And the offices in the States will just be for like publishing and marketing, and that's it. And we're already seeing that happen with a lot of big studios and developers. I think the more employees talk about unionization, unfortunately, the more that's going to accelerate. Because that's just how it works. We're not in the 50s anymore. Tech is a lot more advanced, so it's not a big deal for them to just outsource. So I think we're going to see some pretty foundational and fundamental changes to how the industry functions and how these games get developed, especially the huge games, multi-billion-dollar franchises. It's too bad that we can't just be like, hey, let's not have creeps in positions of management, and let's like treat each other nice and pay each other well and not work 6 days a week. And like, can we just agree on that? It's just not how it works. And unfortunately, there's not enough friction keeping keeping the companies here to kind of force their hand. Because if it's going to be cheaper for them to just outsource and move all the jobs overseas than to deal with the unionization and all of that, they're just going to go overseas. Like, okay, bye. Like, it doesn't matter to them. Like, clearly Activision, Blizzard, and EA aren't that concerned with the quality of the game at the end of the day. Like, it's not a huge priority. So I don't know, we'll see how this develops, but I think all of this, shareholders will start to be like, hey, at least like the people in Singapore, they don't have a way of publicly voicing these things when they happen. So maybe you should just go over there and develop the game over there. And it's awful and it sucks, but that's how it's going to go. Just wait and see. So it's awful. Activision sucks. Don't play Warzone. That's where we're at.
It comes back to this once again. Support small developers, small teams. Support those people. Support the people.
I've been waiting for Witchbrook for years. That's the indie developer I really want. I want to see that game. You're Googling Witchbrook, aren't you?
What the fuck is Witchbrook?
They might have changed the name. It's the Stardew Valley, but set in like Harry Potter, like a Harry Potter kind of universe.
Let's see how far along they are.
They've like
that's
gone
nice.
silent.
Yeah.
Does this ring a bell? I've been waiting for that game for years at this point, and they refuse to update. They don't tell anything. Like, nobody knows where it is in the development process, if it's been canceled, if it's at a standstill. So I'm over here playing Graveyard Keeper like a chump, which isn't bad. Like, Graveyard Keeper is really good. It's fun, but it's no Stardew Valley. And I was really hoping that we would get Witchbrook soon, but we haven't. That's the indie game I'm excited for.
Do we have some good news to end this on? Anything good? Please. It doesn't even have to be news. Doesn't even have to be news, guys. Just anything.
Hermione's asleep on my lap.
That's good. Now we're on to a better. I don't want to end my night with this news.
That's something good.
Something good.
Walking Dead is finally almost over.
That is good. It's good news.
And apparently it's turning out pretty solid. People that are saying these later seasons are pretty damn good. And as a fan of the series, that's good to hear.
Good.
So
Good.
I guess we'll take that as our good news. I have to use the bathroom so goddamn bad, it's not even funny. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you all for watching. Thanks for hanging.
Thanks for tuning in.
End on that one. Hugs and kisses.
Woo! Bye-bye.